Slow turn me down.
Slow turn me down.
I'm more of a conservative.
You're more of a conservative. So, all right, a little background. So, John and I met a while back through Facebook. So, just we were going to talk about topics that are hot button topics. We'll eventually expand this out into Facebook, and we'll get your questions and call in. John's friends will give me, but I don't have a Okay, here we are, our first show. Don't have a name. Okay, I'll start with me. Brian Belchik, how you doing? 47 years old, lived in Alton 47 years. I shouldn't say Alton, I should say RiverBend area. That's why we're on RiverBender.com radio right now. Two guests, one will be with us every week, my partner over here, and I'll let him introduce himself. John.
Thanks, Brian. John Pawloski. I've been all over St. Louis, so born and bred, North County, lived Central Corridor, South St. Louis, Godfrey, all over. So I have the worldly perspective that I'll bring to this show.
I feel kind of homely now. And our guest today?
Evan Johnson. I work for RiverBender.com. I am in sales and I'm also a reporter. And I have worked in radio for 5 years. And this is my first job since being out of radio that hasn't been involved with radio.
Right. And now you're back.
And now I'm back.
So you got a podcast coming up, which will air every day? Or?
That's right. Yep. My daily Monday through Friday podcast of the top 10 stories on RiverBender.
Top 10 stories. So like top 10 in order? Top 10 or
no.
top 10 categorized by...
Yep. Importance, right.
Okay. So interesting. So our show was going to be basically... I'm more of a conservative. John's more of a non-conservative. I don't like to use the word liberal. I don't
Progressive.
Progressive.
I like progressive.
Progressive. You probably got progressive insurance. So,
Slow turn me down.
slow turn me down.
So, I'm more of a conservative.
You're more of a conservative. So, all right. So, a little background. So, John and I met a while back through Facebook, as many people seem to meet now, and we disagreed on a few things. And I think what John and I would like to establish out of the show, and I'm not speaking for John, he can speak after me. I want to show all of you that you can disagree and still be friends. And John and I are sitting 3 feet across from each other. You can watch
No weapons.
No weapons. I got a pin.
I'll let you borrow. You're gonna stand with my own pen.
Your own pen.
Et tu, Brute.
Yeah. So just we were going to talk about topics that are hot button topics. We'll eventually expand this out into Facebook, out into the land of Twitter, and we'll get your questions and call-ins, and let you have some say in some of the stuff. But basically, we want to demonstrate that you can completely disagree. And John, would you agree we completely disagree?
Oh, sure. Although the
I
thing
got a partner today. So.
The thing that's important. So 2 against 1. I think the odds are pretty much even.
Yeah, I think it is. So just to get John some more support, he is a lawyer, and I'm not. So.
But I'm a nice person otherwise.
Otherwise, and probably a good, nice, fair lawyer. So,
On occasion.
So, yeah, on occasion. So, a good thing about John is, and what I want to say about John for me is, he has in times made me really stop and think about some of my points. And, my principles are my principles, my values are my values. But I will listen to John, and John will never fill you full of anything that's not accurate. So I would encourage you, my conservative friends out there, to at least give John a chance and listen. And hopefully, John's friends will give me a fair shot. But I don't have a legal background to support it.
Sounds fair enough to me.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. I think that's something we can definitely strive for.
Yeah, so, I think we should probably go right after the hottest topic in the news right now. And I think what happened Saturday night, by any stretch, in my opinion, is horrible. I can't even fathom that. I can't even fathom that. On the other side of that, I'll say I'm not surprised it happened. I'm not surprised at where it happened, given the history of these people.
I mean, sometimes it's interesting with the events that have unfolded since the summer of 2015 when the court struck down the ban against same-sex marriage. And a lot of people that time, they came out and they said, oh, this just proves, that the gays have taken over the world and so forth. And I think it's important in moments like this to realize that there are a lot of people out there that see the world completely differently. And there's still a fair amount of jeopardy for people that are not in mainstream relationships. You know, the transgender community lives in constant fear. Gay, lesbian people live in constant fear. And that fear is real. Now, we can pretend like the world has changed completely since 2015, but the honest answer is these kinds of events, unfortunately, are going to continue to happen. And, you know, for me, as a person that thinks about things both politically and religiously, I mean, for people to use what Brian and I would regard as sacred scripture as a vehicle for justifying this is just, to me, that's horrendous.
Yeah, I'd
And
agree.
unconscionable.
It's crazy. I don't think about the teachings. You know, I know from a Christian point of view, you know, is love.
Right.
You don't, you know, if you believe, if so, just to take the point of, and today will not probably be one of our big hit misses. John and I are pretty much solid on this together.
Right.
But if you were to just be completely against being gay in every possible way, as a Christian, you're to love that person and welcome them, you know,
Right.
and not to go and do this. I don't know. I was just completely floored that it happened, angry. I think it was avoidable. But I think, John, the key word you just said for me that really bothers me the most, because when I look out and I see people, when I look over across the street, I see Americans. We don't agree on a lot of stuff, but
Right.
you're still an American. These people are Americans. You know, some are Hispanic. I think they're having a Latin night, and a lot of people from Puerto Rico had come up, I believe. You know, my brother-in-law from Puerto Rico. That's where he's still got family there. So, you know, Puerto Rico. I mean, that's close to home for me too. I just, man, how did somebody come with that much hate to go do something like that, and how do we let it not happen again?
Yeah.
And I think it's avoidable. Somebody brought up something, and I don't know, John, you throw me your 2 cents on this, and I never even considered this, I don't think, given the vehicle that he used, which was ISIS, but Obama's push for transgender bathrooms said may have got this guy off on the run.
I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I heard it today, and I thought, man, you know, I don't know. I mean,
I don't think that's the case, and, you know, again, it's all very much speculative at this point because we're basing our opinions on anecdotal news reports. But the anecdotal news reports that I've heard is that this guy was looking at this place for some period of time. Apparently there's some reports that he had set up some sort of
gay dating page or something. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if that's the case, one of two things is going on. Either this is somebody that had planned an attack well before the transgendered bathrooms ever was on the radar screen, or, you know, it's quite possible that this person could have very conflicted feelings himself about sexual identity.
That's been the latest thing in the news.
Has it?
Yes. It just came out in Associated Press. It's actually going to be in the podcast.
Okay.
Is that the biggest thing right now is that they're saying that he might have had a secretly gay life, that he attended that club.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were people that came up afterwards and said, oh yeah, we remember this guy, and
Uh-huh.
had very odd behaviors
Wow.
there. And you know, the thing that's, I
I
think,
hadn't heard
that we
that.
need
Yeah.
to be aware of, and I'm certainly no expert speaking on behalf of the gay and lesbian community, but from the people that I know that live that lifestyle, there's a fair amount of self-hatred that goes on among some people in that community, simply because it's very hard to be gay or lesbian in America. There's a strong presumption in favor of the heteronormative way of life, and if you don't fit within that, you can't be part of the, quote, American dream. You're something outside that. And so that causes a lot of people to be very self-conflicted, and it wouldn't surprise me, although I certainly don't know, whether this man was self-conflicted and that's what drove him to try to do this or not. I heard just about 20 minutes before we came online that some psychologist was opining that he was trying to kill that part of himself by going to this gay club and starting this event that he knew would lead to his death. I don't know, that's maybe a little extreme, but it does raise the issue that when we live in a society that values heteronormativity much more so than other varieties, there's consequences, and some of those and there's an American history here of violence towards people who are transgendered, people who are gay, people that are lesbian. There's really not a dispute as to that. We can argue how representative that violence against them is for the mainstream population. I think the fact that we have marriage equality in America today does give credence to the fact that people have come around. To include Obama's come around, Joe Biden's
To a certain
come
extent,
around.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Hillary Clinton's come around. So people that you would say are archetypal progressives, frankly, have changed a lot. And one of the things that I saw a very interesting report on the people behind the movement for marriage equality. What they did was they wanted to focus on stories of people as opposed to talking about the legal doctrine all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, I want to get into more of this when we get back.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the other aspect of the guns, types
Sure.
of guns, because I think that's a
The
hot
AR-15, I
This is
got
the-
some thoughts about that.
Yeah, I'm sure John and I may butt some heads here on this one, so stick around for that. So, all right, so we'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Riverbend Radio with Brian Belchik, John Pawloski, Evan Johnson. We'll be back in just a few minutes, man.
Heart-pounding excitement is what you will find around every corner with the new Polaris Slingshot. It's like surfing pavement. After just one test drive, you will be ready to ditch the sports car, the Harley, or the sports bike and settle into the hottest thing in the street. With a 2.4-liter GM power plant churning out 173 horsepower, you will feel the adrenaline rush of a lifetime. Come on down to Midwest Motorsports on Route 3 in Hartwell, Illinois. We would love to take you for a ride.
I'm Chad Stevenson, third-generation family member of Quality Buick GMC Cadillac and certified pre-owned. We have 56 years of experience in helping families arrange affordable lease and finance options on new and pre-owned vehicles. Call us today to learn how we can help make one of our quality vehicles affordable for you.
All right, sir, we finished all the services on your car. They'll take it over for your complimentary car wash, and they'll call you when it's ready.
Okay, welcome back to RiverBender.com. Brian Belchik, John Pawloski, and special guest, podcast man himself, Evan Johnson. So, real quick to backtrack, we were talking about Saturday night's horrible event of what took place in the gay club in Orlando. We talked about what we think is motive. Interesting, very interesting, new to me, didn't know anything about that. Guns. So, I'm a huge gun advocate.
Me too.
I don't care what gun you have. I don't care. It's your right to have it. That's where I stand. I'll draw that line. John, this is going to be fun for you all. My thought is, this was preventable in a certain situation. Maybe not in a bar, because a responsible gun owner would never carry their weapon into a bar. But anyway, I think that this happened in a gay club in Orlando for a reason. From what I understand, he was a much larger racist from some of his rants on Facebook. So I ask, why would this happen in that bar versus some other type of a community? And I think because it was a soft target, easy.
Well,
That's
sure.
what I'm thinking.
Sure. And I think it also, if you assume the reports are true that he called a 911 call to pledge his allegiance to ISIS and so forth.
That's against Sharia law. Homosexuality is, so that would make sense as far as that.
It would. Yeah, considering they were throwing gay people off of buildings in Iraq.
That's
Right.
correct.
Right.
Horrible. Did you see the video of that?
Yes.
I can't even.
I didn't see that.
No, it's
It's-
terrible.
That
It's
sounds
sick to my
horrible.
stomach, man. Human
Right.
being.
Right. But let's talk about the
Let's talk about the
AR-15.
gun. Let's talk about the AR-15.
And I have a different perspective than most people on this. I'm former military. I know what it's like to carry an M16. I was raised skeet shooting, and so we had guns in our house, and so I'm certainly not anti-gun. One of the things I have learned through Facebook and having honest conversations with my conservative friends is that guns do have an impact on crime rates in neighborhoods, and those areas that historically have had very strong gun control measures often have very high crime statistics, and that's happened enough to where I think it is statistically significant. So I'm not here to say no guns. The problem I have with the AR-15 in particular, and I understand it's not a fully automatic weapon, but it is, in essence, a military-grade weapon. And my problem with that is we have law enforcement. We have people in the military that are sworn to protect and serve us from people who would like to do us harm. And if you have a lot of these military-grade weapons out on the street where our military, where our police have to confront people that are using these weapons, I think that that's putting them in a very unfair position. And I do want to push back a little bit on what Brian said about, you have the right to own whatever weapon that you want. I mean, because if that's your argument, then you have a right to a nuclear weapon under the Second Amendment, if you're going to own any weapon that you want. And I don't see too many people taking that position.
That would be costly.
And I think...
That'd be expensive.
Right.
Okay, so maybe I should retract any weapon. Maybe,
Sure.
maybe I should refer to gun.
And everybody loves to say, Justice Scalia, he's the champion of the Second Amendment, and I would encourage people to read the Heller decision. The Heller decision is very clear that people have a right to use a weapon and own a weapon in protection of their home, but Scalia was very, very, very clear that you don't have a right to own and operate an exotic military weapon or something that's sort of beyond the norm of
Can't have a tank.
Right.
And I would agree with that.
Flamethrower, or yeah.
But where's the line?
And who decides the line?
Right.
I mean, I definitely think that handguns, the intent of those, there's no dispute that a handgun, the primary purpose of a handgun is to kill a human being.
Yeah.
So if that's the purpose of it, what is the most permissible use of that type of equipment? Well, it'll be in home protection. So I think you have a right to a handgun to protect you and yourself and your loved ones at home. I think you have a right to use a rifle or a shotgun for sporting purposes.
But isn't an AR-15 basically just a rifle?
And it's semi-automatic,
Well,
so do you
It's
take
not much
away...
different. It's not much different than a 22. Think about a 30-06. That's more
And you would,
powerful.
and Brian, you would know more about this than I do, but my understanding is that the capacity of a round from an AR-15 can pierce Kevlar, whereas, your gunshot, buckshot's not going to do that. Most of your rifle type,
People do use a 223 for hunting.
Yeah, and here's what's funny
and
about
I kind
that.
of have a problem with that too.
Well, yeah,
is
'cause it
that
doesn't
really
always
being a sportsman?
Well, it doesn't really kill the animal.
Right.
You know that, right? I mean, you can only hunt small game with that.
Yeah.
You can't hunt like that gun wouldn't penetrate a bear. You couldn't hurt a bear with that gun that he used, the AR-15. And I think that's the problem. People don't understand. They see this gun, and it looks scary.
Like an M16.
It looks like the
Right.
guy you see in Iraq running with the thing locked down, and it's just not the same weapon.
No, it's not.
It's just not. And, I have handguns that carry 17 rounds. I mean, and
Yeah, double stacker.
yeah, and how quick does it take to change a magazine? Less than 2 seconds.
Right.
So really, the capacity isn't. I mean, it's an argument, but it's not a valid argument. And from a person from a gun point, I think, the gun thing's touchy because I don't like seeing things on the news like I
Right,
saw.
no, of course
and
not.
these schools and things, and I don't like seeing them. But I don't think what I found particularly interesting, and I think most of us conservatives and maybe other people, maybe John, you may have called it too. We knew right out of the gate when this happened where the president was going to stand on this.
Oh, yeah.
And it was spot on.
Oh, yeah.
It was predictable.
Mm-hmm.
It was guns.
Did you hear his statement today?
I did. I'll be honest with you. I just turned it off. I don't normally turn off the president.
It was frustrating.
I had to go in and see a customer. I didn't want to get fired up before I went in. So I turned it off.
You didn't hear-
It was bad. I heard it was pretty bad. I had a friend of mine
I listened to the whole thing.
texting me
I was
and
frustrated.
with the reference to radical Islam, and maybe after the next break we can get into that topic
Right.
as well.
Sure.
And I'd like to too, but I just think somebody said to me, I was at my son's baseball game Saturday, and and this is a joke, America, this is a joke. What I said is a joke. This is not real. So somebody said, hey, we're going to go to the farm. You want to go up there? We can shoot and play around a little bit. I'm like, absolutely. I said, when? They said, first week of August. I said, okay, Obama will probably say gun 6 more times. Every time he says gun, I buy 1,000 rounds. That's not true. I don't do that, okay? I can't afford that.
That would be expensive.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that somebody said to me, so you're one of those guys that thinks Obama's going to take your gun. And I started laughing. And I said, so let me give you at least my version of the conservative version of gun control with Obama and the progressive left. They're not going to come to my house and take my weapon. First of all, that's never going to happen.
Yeah,
No. I wouldn't allow it to happen, so it's never going to happen. 2, I think what they're going to do, and they've done it, is raise prices and make things harder to get. You look at Walmart, already dropped its Bushmaster AR-15 from after the Sandy Hook thing. So they're making it more and more difficult to get guns. And I think that's where they're going to try to do it, through regulation, not necessarily coming to your house.
Yeah, I mean, it's even harder to buy 22 longs.
Man, I just found some the other day, first time, Cabela's, by the way, Cabela's has...
It was a drought for a long time.
Yeah, so,
But you know why it's a drought? Because people do listen to Obama. They think he's taking their guns and like hell. And
so they're just buying them. Yeah, oh yeah, man. People lined up out at Walmart.
I have stock in some of these guns.
I have a friend of mine.
That's actually smart.
I have a friend of mine that works for a weapons firm, and business has been very, very good. So,
So it kind of does the opposite of sometimes.
Right.
Of what they're...
I tell him, I said, you should be writing a check to the Obama campaign. That man has done more for your business than any other human being on the face of the earth.
Well,
he has.
So, we're up against the break here.
Sure.
So we got just a few seconds. So before we go to... I want to touch on that because one of the things that Hillary, and I'll let you guys ponder this here real quick, and so some of you who are listening, you can hit me on Facebook and I'll answer some of this, or hit John or even Evan, we'll bring it up. So.
Sure.
The thought of going after the gun manufacturer and hold them financially liable for an action that somebody else takes, that is an interesting, and my lawyer friend over here, I'd love to hear your version of this, because common sense tells me this is the dumbest comment I've heard in a long time.
Well, let me flip it on its head.
Well, let's get off the break, because I want to go to the break, okay? I want this to be good, because I'm interested in hearing your version on this. All right, so... All right, folks, listen to RiverBender.com radio with Brian, John, and Evan. We'll be right back.
Roper's Regal Beagle, located on Godfrey Road, is the Metro East premier sports bar and grill. Open Sunday through Thursday till 2 a.m. and Fridays and Saturdays till 3 a.m. At Roper's Regal Beagle, you will enjoy some of the area's best pizza from their wood-fired pizza oven. There's also a full kitchen offering a huge variety, as well as a soup and salad bar. Sports fans, Roper's Regal Beagle is the place to watch the game. 27 TVs, NFL ticket, Big Ten, Pac-12, and streaming local high school sports.
Guys, we're only up by 1 run. I need some insurance. Let's go. Put me in, Coach. I can get you some insurance.
AmFam G-Man at the plate. Here's the pitch. Swing and a long one. A home run for AmFam G-Man.
Hit a home run with my team, a winning team. Let me protect your dreams. Call me, Gerard Fisher, 466-7062. Come on, Coach.
American Family Insurance.
At Midwest Members Credit Union, you are important.
We work hard to ensure you have the best banking experience possible. Whether you are inquiring about opening a savings account or wanting to learn more about a loan, our professionals are here to help you with any questions, and we will walk you through every step of the process. Since opening our doors in 1935, we've never forgotten that our members are our most important asset, which is why we continue to excel.
For all your banking needs, Midwest Members is the one place to go.
Okay, so we're back. All right, thank you. RiverBendRadio.com, right here. Brian, John, and Evan. We were just talking about kind of going through the motions of what took place Saturday night in Orlando, which is, everybody's talking about it. We talked about how it happened, why we thought it happened. We talked about the guns, and then I posed John's lawyer. I'm going to go into his inner lawyer on what I think is a crazy statement to go after gun owners that make guns, the people that make the guns, and hold them accountable for the actions of people that purchase their product. And John, what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
dying to hear this.
and one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to flip it back on its head because, we have immunity that available, or people are arguing for immunity for gun owners and gun manufacturers. And I think that's a crazy idea. I mean, the only things that historically that have ever gotten immunity are basically government entities and charitable entities like hospitals, typically. And you want to put gun manufacturers in the same footing as the government or a charitable hospital for immunity purposes? That makes no sense to me. But let's just take it from the perspective
So hang
of
on,
people.
based on that, I don't recall anybody suing Anheuser-Busch for somebody that went out and got drunk and.
Oh, actually, they did.
Does that happen? I'm not
Oh,
aware of
Yeah,
that.
that's happened.
No,
Has that
Missouri you can't because Missouri has what's called a no-host liability law, in effect giving them immunity.
Because Anheuser-Busch owns
Right.
in Missouri.
Exactly. Yeah, so they did try it, and it's effective in other states, but just not very much in Missouri.
So if you are a Chevrolet and somebody took your car and they drove a Chevrolet through a building to kill people, they could hold them liable as well.
Well,
Because a car's a weapon.
probably
It's a good
not.
question.
But and again, that's one of the things that I wanted to get to in
Okay,
terms of
sorry.
just a regular lawsuit. Is that people have to understand in the United States of America, you can be sued for anything, for any reason, and for no reason at all. That's
Absolutely.
an unfortunate circumstance of our legal system. But you also have to understand that it's difficult to convince a jury. And you have a Seventh Amendment right to a civil jury trial. And it's hard to convince, in Illinois it's 12 unanimous jurors, in Missouri it's 9 out of 12, people to agree with you that the manufacturer of a weapon should be responsible for a particular episode on a particular date and time when someone was harmed or killed. I mean, that's not an easy task. You also have to understand that lawsuits are extremely expensive enterprises to do them effectively against a defendant like that. You're talking about an investment literally of millions of dollars. And so someone doesn't just, think on a whim to try to file a lawsuit like that. Because if they were to do that, pardon the pun, they'd be pistol whipped. So, you have to understand some of the realities. Plus, there are motions that could be filed. Probably a motion to dismiss would be filed, which says, look, under any understanding of the facts at issue in this case should be dismissed because there's no way that XYZ gun manufacturer could have known or anticipated that this kind of event would have happened. There's no foreseeability. There's no causation. There's no proximate cause of damages. That they're, as a matter of law, they're intervening events. There's all these legal arguments. And my point, and not trying to belabor it too much, is that the legal hurdles for doing something like this are so onerous that, yes, it exists in theory. As a practical matter, only the most well-heeled attorneys with really compelling cases, with evidence of, custom and practice of advertising and a variety of information that was made known to the manufacturer, only in those kinds of cases are you really going to get traction in a legal environment.
I guess. I still think it's.
So you don't find it feasible as far as an actual.
So you're telling me after Sandy
It's a tough road to hoe.
Right.
So you're telling me after Sandy Hook you couldn't find 12 people
Well, my point is
in that community?
You'd have to find 12 people that could stay on the jury panel. It wouldn't be struck for bias. So that would be difficult. Could I find 12 people that want to hang the manufacturer of a gun?
Yeah, I think you could.
Sure.
But they'd be being struck.
Right.
Like
I think
crazy.
it would just be. I think it's. I think it opens a door. And if there's anything we learn with history, especially with the law, you open one door, it's going to open a tremendous amount of other doors. And I just think it's a shaky road to go down.
Sounds like you're abandoning your position as a constitutional originalists. My
Well,
point about the law is that it does.
It's the
It
law.
evolves.
I mean, it does evolve, but does the Constitution evolve?
Absolutely.
It does, but I mean, to what degree? So we can have that conversation, I suppose, on another show, and I'd love to have it.
Marbury versus Madison.
See, there
Chief
you go. I
Justice
don't know
John
all
Jay.
that
Let us
stuff.
never forget, it is a constitution we are expounding.
Okay, so
That's where the whole show right there.
that was amazing. I just. I don't know. It's a touchy subject with me, and I think for me, it's this. I feel like if I render this right, I'm going to render that right at some point too.
Right.
And,
So where does it end?
And I think at the end of the day, and the kind of the point behind this show is, at what point do my rights matter? What points do my opinions matter? Because right now, you can be attacked, I can be attacked. I won't even go to a Trump rally. I wouldn't wear a Trump hat. I'm going to put a Trump sign in my yard just to upset somebody, because that's what I do. But I think the thing is, it's not right to do that. And I think where I'm going with this is, if I give up that, if I say, okay, well, we'll let you do it on certain, if it's school shootings or if it just opens the door. It opens the door, and then it's going to raise prices again. And I think that's the avenue they want to take, and it's where it's really leading this. When they do this, it's going to raise insurance rates for gun manufacturers. It's ultimately going to raise the price of guns. Ultimately, it's going to make it for guys like, us to buy. For Evan and I, we're not lawyers. We can't afford a gun.
Right.
At that point, so I think. Sorry, John.
I don't see any economic evidence that any of the recent events have had any untoward effect on the capacity of people to buy guns or ammunition.
It hasn't at this point, but if you open up the door for lawsuits,
Then things change.
Things change.
Things change.
They just change. It just opens the door. I guess listening to your point, as you often do, you make me think, which is why I love speaking with you. You make me think. So I'll think about it.
Yeah, and I do understand where you're
Remember,
coming
he's a
from.
lawyer. He's designed to argue.
Yeah.
So you gotta
You're designed to sway.
Yeah, he can sway. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's Second Amendment. It's our right to have guns. I don't think somebody should be held accountable that made a gun. Now, I will tell you, though, here's an interesting thing, and we're good. We can maybe talk to this for a couple minutes. But, so let's talk about profiling. Mm-hmm. You look at, so it's like, is it illegal to profile? No, but you could get yourself in a politically correct situation, correct? Right. Guy named Omar is walking up, buying 2 guns, 300 rounds of ammunition. In my mind, bing.
Right.
Well,
not to mention that he's been being investigated.
Well, but me as a counter guy,
right.
I don't know that.
Right. You don't
I
know
just
that.
know Omar.
Right.
This is the day and age that we live in.
But I think you raise a good point, which is, and going back to our original subject, this gentleman, no, I'm going to call him a gentleman, this person was
individual.
he was investigated twice by the FBI, and it raises, and I don't have the answer to this. I'm thinking about it, but I don't have an answer as to where do you draw that line as a society as to say, you know what, we have enough inclination to say you should not have access to a weapon.
On a legal basis.
We have a no-fly list. We tell people, sorry, we can't really prove this in court, but you're not going to be able to take an airplane flight.
So, and I agree with that. So here's the thing, though.
You get the freedom of speech.
And what if we applied a no-fly list to weapons? Would you agree?
Well, they already have. Although I can take my conceal and carry with me, I just can't carry it onto the gun.
Carry on.
I can ship it with me. If I'm going to a state that abides by my license,
you have to ship it,
I can ship it on the plane with me.
On the plane,
but
same plane.
Underground, yeah. So, I think for me, when it comes to the no-fly list and it comes to this list that people can get on, who's on the Terrorist watch list, whatever, who makes that decision and what conclusions? Because you look at some of my Facebook posts, you could think that, man, this guy's over the edge sometimes, But I'm a harmless guy. I would never harm a person. So anyway, we're a half hour. So we'll have to maybe pick this up. I hate to leave you hanging like that. Maybe
who gets the last word?
So we're going to go around the room real quick. We're going to give our special guest the last word on this one. Real quick before we jump out of here, we're going to post this up on RiverBender.com. It's going to be there. It's going to be on my Facebook page. John's, I'm sure everyone's going to share it as well.
That's right.
We want some comments, we want some feedback on this, okay? Because this show, we really want to make it good. We don't want to sit here and listen to ourselves talk. We can do this on Facebook. We can do it on the phones. So we want to make it good. So give us some positive, not positive, your thoughts, your feedback, good or bad. Give us maybe 1 good, 3 bad, whatever. So, last words.
My last words is just remember, Brian was dropped on his head as a child. He can only do so much, and he's really made the most of a rather troubled start in his life. Now, I wanted to say thank you to John Hendrick for the opportunity to be here on the show. I think it's great what you're doing, John. Brian, I wanted to thank you for the invitation, and thank you for being our special guest.
Thanks a lot for having me on, and I appreciate the points that have been made on both sides. I think that it's been a great show.
Thank you guys, and definitely I think what RiverBender's doing in the community is amazing. So to get to be a part of that on meta levels.
You can be liberal, progressive, you can be conservative, and we all agree on that.
We can, and you can be okay with it and go have a beer afterwards, that we're probably going to do now. So
that's right.
Have a great night, be safe, lock your guns up, and have a great night, folks. Bye-bye.